Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. I am very excited to be doing this little video. This Crypto Garden channel is the video component of our community that we are growing. We have a private Telegram channel where we are trading news alerts and buying tips and all kinds of good stuff. And then this more public channel is more for education and helping people that are new traders and seasoned traders alike learn some new tools, some new approaches. So I'm very excited to have you here today. So this is the first of a series that I'm calling Tools of the Trade. And I think for anyone who maybe got into crypto recently, there's a good chance that you got in through an app like Coinbase or Robinhood. And I was actually looking at a friend's phone the other day as they were trading crypto on Robinhood. And it struck me how these consumer apps have these biases built in that actually make us act in foolish ways. So when you are looking at a stock that's going up on Robinhood, the UX is all green and happy and makes you just feel awesome. And as soon as that starts dipping by even 1%, the interface is red, it's scary, and it just struck me that a lot of traders are sitting there and already their emotions and experience are being influenced by the apps that they're using. So there's nothing wrong with trading on these platforms, but I think if you're really serious about becoming a better trader, there are some great tools that will help you gain clarity and calm and put you in control of the data. So I'm going to share with you one of the biggest tools that I use on a day-to-day basis. It's called TradingView. TradingView is not a sponsor. We don't have any connection with them. It's just a really, really awesome tool. And you can go to tradingview.com on your phone or on your desktop, and you can start a free trial. I personally use the Pro plan because it's got some features that I really enjoy. But we are starting from a fresh, basic package here so that we can show you exactly what this is like when you set it up. So go to tradingview.com, start your free trial, and then let's get into how this actually works and how it can make you a better trader. So this is the TradingView interface. And if you are not technical or you're not used to looking at things with this much detail, it can feel a little overwhelming at first. That's why I'm going to walk you through how to set this up and really understand the main pieces that you need to know. So when you get into this view for the first time, they're going to have on this sidebar, which you can always get to from this little hamburger menu thing. But this sidebar is your watch list. And so they preload it with a whole bunch of stuff. Most of these things you can probably delete. So you can go here. I'm just going to go ahead and I am just going to get rid of all of these things. These are all distractions. I don't care about any of these. And so now they've got a couple crypto things. Let's start with this as our basis. They've got BTC USD and BTC USDT, which is just against Tether. Pick one. You don't really need both. Okay, so here we go. We've got on our watch list Bitcoin and Ethereum. One thing that I would suggest that you do right off the bat while we're setting up this watch list is that you add a couple other really useful charts. So if you come up here and you click the plus, the first one that I'd like you to add is the total, T-O-T-A-L, and this is the total crypto market cap. So this is giving us a view of everything that's happening in crypto across all of the different coins. This is showing us whether the entire market, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all of the coins together, whether we're going up or down. And this is a very handy chart because it can show us the health of the overall market. And I usually move my total up to the top because this is giving us that giant perspective of the entire market before we actually drill down. The other one that you should add is total 2. Oops, reaching around my mic here. So this is very similar, except this is the total market cap excluding Bitcoin. So these are the altcoins. And so this graph will show us the health of the altcoin market. And I mean, you can see here, we are just kicking butt since April 24th. We've just been on this great run up. And you can see that just like some of these other charts that we see, the entire market will move in ways that look a lot like a single coin. So this is a great one to have, total 2. And then the last one that is really important to have, especially now, as I record this, we're in alt season, do the BTC.D. And this is Bitcoin dominance. So this will show how strong Bitcoin is in relation to the rest of the market. And as you can see here, Bitcoin dominance has just been dropping. And that is a very strong indication that we are in alt season. That means money is leaving Bitcoin and going into the alts. So these 3 charts together form a great basis for getting that big level, macro level picture. Okay, so now that we have some basic setup of what views we want to look at, and of course they added Bitcoin and Ethereum. Let's add another one here. Let's just add ADA, Cardano. So if I type ADA, it'll bring up ADA, and you can see here on the right, these are all the different exchanges where it can pull data from. So you want to find the exchange that you're actually trading on, because each exchange has its own liquidity pool, and the prices will be slightly different between Femex, Bitfinex, Coinbase, etc. So for ADA, I'm going to pull up the chart for Coinbase because that's where I'm actually buying ADA. And so now we've got our ADA chart as well. And you can fill this out with the other cryptos that you're following. So on my account, I have a whole sidebar here that is full of all the different coins I'm watching. So let's do kind of a fringe one. Let's do XVG. Verge is one of the coins that I'm kind of looking at, and I'm actually trading it on Bittrex. So we'll add that. And so you can take some time and just load this up with the different symbols, the different cryptos that you're actually wanting to keep track of. Okay, so now that we have our different cryptos that we're watching all set up, we can get to them really easily. We can jump around. Here's Ethereum, Bitcoin, ADA. Let's talk about what this view is actually showing us and how we can use it to our advantage. So the first thing to understand is that this is giving us a view of the price action of a crypto on a time basis. And if I look up here in the corner, here's the coin that we're looking at, BTC to USD, and here is the time frame of this view right now. And so as part of your setup, I'd also like you to click on this and then come in and star. Let's do the 15-minute, the 30-minute, 1 hour, 4 hour, 1 day, 1 week. And you can see as I'm clicking those stars, it's actually adding them to my bar here, so I can very quickly jump between these time frames. And if you upgrade to a pro account, you can actually do custom time frames. So I'm actually looking at the 24-minute quite often as a good in between the 4 hour and the 5-minute type charts. But if you star these, they will be up here. And so now what this allows us to do is, if we're looking at Bitcoin, we are looking at, on the 30-minute, each of these candles, each of these bars is showing us the price action for a 30-minute interval. So there's 1 bar for every 30 minutes that Bitcoin has printed data. And we can change this. We can go to the 4 hour. And so now each one of these candles is showing the price action in 4 hours. And if I go to daily, each candle is a day. And so as I zoom out here, you see we're getting a bigger and bigger picture of what Bitcoin has done. And if I go to weekly, it's going to be a lot less info, but it's actually allowing me to see way farther back in the past. So here's actually the bull run of 2017, 2018. And you can see how much higher we are in price for Bitcoin than we were way back here. So each one of these is a week. And so this allows us to get that bird's eye view to really understand where we are market cycle wise. And then if we're actually trading, we're probably looking at something like a 4 hour chart and maybe dropping down to the 1 hour or even 30-minute or even 15-minute chart if you're trying to find these perfect entry points. If you're really trying to make a trade and get this razor thin variable, you're trying to buy at the absolute bottom or sell at the absolute top, zooming in can actually help you get these really great times. Okay, so let's talk also about what these candles are and how to think about them. Let's zoom way in on just a couple candles and let's talk about what these are showing us. Okay, so again, depending on our time frame, each one of these candles is showing us the price action for one of that time frame, so 4 hours in this case. And then with each candle, we basically have, I guess, three variables. We have the color, which is just showing us visually whether the price action closed down from the previous candle or up from the previous candle. So this candle started here. You can see this. It started at this close, and then it dropped even lower and closed here, therefore it was red. This next candle opened up at the bottom of the red and went up slightly and was green, and then the next one opened here, it was red. So the red and the green will just show you whether we went net up or down in that time frame. The other thing that you'll see, and I just talked about it, are the bodies of the candles. So the body actually shows where it opened and where it closed. And that is like the cold hard fact, the actual price, where it started and where it ended. But the wicks, you can see here these lines that kind of punch out the top and the bottom, those are actually more the story. So these show the movement in that direction that the price got to before it actually closed and printed the candle. So there's some really interesting ones even on this chart. This one here, this big green candle up, is actually the least interesting. Even though it's a big candle, you can see that we opened here. It looks like we dropped slightly, and the candle was red for a moment while it was still being printed. And then it reversed, and it went all the way up, and it went up a little bit past where it closed and came down and closed. So that's a real straightforward candle. There's not much of a story there. That's just the story of a big reversal, a big leg up. A candle like this one is really interesting because if you look at the wicks, we actually opened here, and I don't know which move it made first, if it went up or down first, but it went way up, all the way up to 58,737, and it went all the way down to 57,205, and then it closed almost exactly where it opened. So in this time period, in this 4 hours, it went way up and it went way down, and it really didn't do much. And so these candles, as you get more used to reading charts, they can show you a lot about, you can think about it like different pressures on the price action, the buyers versus the sellers, and who's kind of winning the tug of war in each candle. So we can actually see this one right now. This one is still being printed. Let's zoom way into the 15 minutes. And we can actually watch this candle go up and down on a 15-minute time frame. Let's even, just for the sake of this example, let's go to the 1 minute. And so each one of these candles is only 1 minute, but we can actually watch in real time as the price will go up, and that is a sign that people are buying, and then the price will go down, and that is an indication that people are selling. You can see that on a minute to minute, where are we going? You can also see the other thing I haven't mentioned yet, these big bar chart segments down here. This is the trading volume. So this is showing how much trading is happening, and ultimately whether it was won by the buyers or the sellers. And so where we have places of high volume, that means a lot of trading is happening. And so when you look at that candle, you know that that candle, not only does it show us a price action, it also shows us that there was a lot of activity. Whereas in this moment, or this one here, we had a little bit of a move, but there wasn't much happening. And that can be useful if we're on these higher level time frames and we're actually trying to understand where is price going. If you see big moves with small volume, that's usually an indicator that it's whales are moving things around, or it's not truly being supported by a large number of investors. So you want to be careful. If the trading volume is low, it's not really a good indicator that the market is strongly moving in a direction. And here's a great example of when it was. So when we had this big green candle, this was the 5th of May, and I'm not sure what the news was that day, but I bet if we went and checked, there was a lot of talk on the Twitters, there's a lot of excitement, there was a big volume relative to other candles as we made this move. Okay, so this in and of itself, I mean, this is pretty interesting. I don't know if you feel like this is all just nerd fuel, But let me show you another thing that can really be helpful if you are looking at your coins, you're trying to decide when to buy or sell or what you want to do. Just knowing the price action, this is important. There's a lot of other stuff I'll cover in other videos about actually looking at support and resistance levels. This is really just the basics of looking at a chart. There's a lot more cool stuff that we can do once we have our charts, but I'll save those for other videos. The other thing that I just want to show you in this kind of tools of the trade setup are indicators. And this is another powerful layer of the TradingView platform. Let's look at the RSI, the stochastic RSI. This is one of my favorite indicators. It's very simple to understand, and it can give you really powerful insight. So if I clicked on this indicator button, I search for Stoch, and I can see the stochastic RSI, and I will add that. And so now on my chart I have this additional overlay. So now not only am I looking at just candles and price action, I now have this, it's called an oscillator, this oscillating indicator that is the stochastic RSI. And that is the relative strength index, and that shows us whether we are overbought. Anything above this purple zone, above these dashed lines, is in overbought territory, which means it's only a matter of time before price comes back down, or in the oversold territory, which means it's only a matter of time before the price comes back up. And so if you're looking to buy a coin, and let's just kind of click around and see if we can find any here. So here's a great example. So here's a XVG, and let's look at it. We're on the 4-hour time frame. So back here on the 4th of May, it was really oversold. And so this is a great point to buy. And you can see the price dipped. But if we're looking at this indicator, not only is the price dipping, this oscillator is coming down. And when this comes back up and crosses, the blue crosses the red, that means there's going to be a big move up. And so sure enough, if you buy here, because you're looking at your indicator, look at how this came all the way up. And that was we can measure the move here. If you bought right here, that is a 45% move to the upside. And that indicator would have let you know that. On the flip side, if we're up here right now, maybe you've heard someone talking about Verge and, oh, it's so cool, it's doing all these great things. But if I'm looking at Verge and I want to buy more, I am not going to buy right now. I'm going to wait until this indicator kind of comes down here, turns around, because I want to catch that falling price action, and I want to scoop it up right when that RSI is coming back up. And so the RSI is just one of many indicators. And so another cool thing is that we can do this for an individual coin. We can also do this for the total market. So if we go to the total market here and we have our RSI on, we can see when the total market is getting overbought or oversold, and we can actually predict these big moves. Let's go to the daily chart. For this is the total market. We can actually predict when we are due for a correction, and actually looking at this, we're pretty close. So we've had this big drop that was in the 16th of April back down, and we had this big powerful move back to the upside, but we're once again getting into that overbought territory. And so it is not very likely that we're going to see another move like this up until we have another move down. And yeah, you can see here that the blue has now crossed above the red. And so looking left, we can kind of see how this moves. It kind of pins to the top for a little bit, or it just turns around. But if I'm sitting and watching the total market, I can know going into this weekend that we are likely for a correction. Anytime you're printing all of these green candles in a row, it's only a matter of time. And if you look left, you'll always see that if you want to go up, you got to come back down. And so we've had a pretty good strong move up. We might have some more upward momentum left, but if you're looking at this, don't be surprised when price action turns back around. And if we go to even the weekly chart, we might even be getting a different story. So we might see, this is a great example. So on the daily, we can expect a correction coming. We've had several very strong days in a row. So going into this weekend, we might be seeing a bloodbath of everything kind of going red that was just previously green. But on the weekly, we still have the RSI is relatively low. It looks like this blue might be on its way to crossing back up. And so this gives me a lot of confidence that even if we have some red days coming up, that we might be printing a lot more green weeks. So yeah, again, I think if you are getting serious as a trader and people are talking about these coins and you're trying to figure out when you want to buy or what you want to do, if you're only looking at that price on Coinbase or Robinhood or whatever exchange is, and you're just kind of going on gut and what you're hearing, I don't think you're going to time the best entries and exits compared to if you hear about that, you say, okay, great, I'm going to pull that up in my TradingView. I'm going to see where it's been. So let's see, someone told me recently about, and you can add to your watch list. You can also just click on this and then you can just search without adding it. But someone was telling me about Telcoin, which it sounds like this coin has just been crushing it. Like really exciting. I mean, and if you look at the candles, man, just like straight up. And so like this is something that's really interesting. I'm very excited about it. But looking at this just really basic technical analysis, I can see that we've had this huge move up, supported on these really big volumes, and it is in overbought territory right now. So that's not to say that it can't have another move up, but personally, I am going to wait until this RSI cools off a little bit. We'll see where the price kind of lands, and again, there's other things that we can be doing to analyze that I'll talk about in other videos. That I'm always looking at, these support and resistance levels and the Fibonacci resistance levels and extensions, and so it gives us a lot more to go on rather than just hearing our friends talk about a coin. We can actually pull it up and we can see, what has it done, where is it going, and we can time our entries or exits. Because another thing is, if you're a long-term investor and you're trying to buy things and sell things in a matter of days or weeks, that might be different than if you're actually trying to do some scalp trades. And Telcoin, there might still be some really great swings in here on the 30-minute time frame where you can be buying here and selling an hour or two later, and making these little scalp trade profits. So if I were watching and I was able to scoop it up here at this RSI cross and then exit here at that RSI cross, that's a 39% profit. But that's a very short trade. That was 4 hours. So you'd have to be sitting here watching this 4-hour oscillator. But these are the tools of the trade. This is how you can really go from just the long-term hodling to surgically finding the coins that you want to poach some great profits. So I will leave it there. Again, this is really just a setup video. This is really the foundation for a lot of the other videos that I'll be doing, kind of teaching some technical analysis. So stay tuned. There's a lot more that we can do with these, but getting them set up and just understanding the basics is the first step. So from myself and all of us here in the Crypto Garden, thanks for growing along with us. And until next time, cheers.